Shocked and devastated Diddy spotted at the home where his ex suddenly and mysteriously died. Her good friend Kimora Lee Simmons appearing inconsolable at the house. 47-year-old Porter's body found after a desperate call to 911.
EMS 14 respond with engine 76 on scene of the cardiac arrest.
Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said that she died. It was ruled a homicide.
In other words, she was taken away from her life early, not through natural circumstances, and therefore that needs to be corrected.
Tonight, Kim's untimely death raising questions and sending shockwaves through Hollywood.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name's Adi. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the little bell next to it to get notified every time I post a new video. So for weeks now, really months, since Cassie's lawsuit, we've all been diving into this rabbit hole with the whole Diddy situation. And of course, with everything that's come out, it has brought back to light the tragic and now even more mysterious death of Kim Porter. There has been speculations about Kim's passing for years now, and if people had doubts then, even more are now demanding for her case to be reopened. And honestly, I don't think Kim's case should be the only one reinvestigated. There's just so many deaths surrounding Diddy that it surely can't just all be a coincidence. And now with all the proof that has come out in regards with the allegations that he's being accused of, honestly, it's not far-fetched to believe that he could be capable of being involved. But today we're going to be focusing on Kim Porter. So Kimberly Antoinette Porter was born in Columbus, Georgia on December 15, 1970 to Sarah Porter and Jake Porter. She was an only child but grew up with her cousins as her siblings. She began modeling in her teens, and after she graduated high school, she moved to Atlanta, Georgia to further her modeling career. She would eventually start working at Uptown Records as a receptionist, where she would eventually meet Diddy. He said that he saw her at the studio with L.B. Sure one day, but he didn't make any moves for obvious reasons. The first time I saw her, she was at the studio with her ex-boyfriend. I wasn't trying to holler at her or anything, but I was admiring her. Her lips, her eyes, her mouth, her shape, her energy, and thinking, I wish I had a girl like that. In 1989, she began dating L.B. Sure, and in 1991, they welcomed their first child, Quincy Brown. And unfortunately, shortly after Quincy's birth, they split up. Then in 1994, she began dating Diddy. He helped her raise her son Quincy. He would even eventually adopt him. They just became inseparable. We went out together, we ate together, we played together. He would want me at the office, I would want him at my shoots. Our bond was so tight. All the while, Kim's modeling career continued to thrive. And in 1998, they would welcome their first child together, Christian Combs. But unfortunately, once again, they broke up shortly after because Diddy decided to leave her for Jennifer Lopez. Now, this left Kim obviously humiliated and devastated, especially because Diddy and J-Lo became a very high-profile couple and would constantly be in the media flaunting their love. Everywhere I went, people were asking, are you okay? I just hated that. People just believed everything they saw in print, and they were talking to me like I was really crushed. But I had just had a baby. I couldn't be somewhere in a corner heartbroken. I have kids. I'm a grown woman. Now, it's believed that Diddy and J-Lo met on the set of one of her music videos, and that's when they fell for each other. And him and Kim were actually still living together when all this happened. So, of course, Kim kicked Diddy out of their home, and she went as far as changing the locks to make sure he wouldn't come back in. She was done. I told him someone's got to go, and it isn't going to be me and these kids. It was like my life was not my own. He was very, very intrusive. He would say he needed to see his son, but I was at a place where just the sight of him would turn my stomach. My feeling was, you made this decision, now stay over there. I can't repeat everything I said at the time because it's really not that ladylike, but I was very expressive about it. Kim said that while Diddy was with J-Lo, he would still constantly call her 50, 60 times a day. He would show up unannounced, and eventually they would end up in a Manhattan family court to hash out a visitation agreement, which Diddy actually accepted that he did not follow. And eventually in 2000, Kim got into a relationship with music executive Shakir Stewart, which of course Diddy was not happy about. Per a May 2024 report by Rolling Stone, Diddy actually confronted Shakir and broke a chair on his head that actually required stitches in Italy at a wedding. And it is alleged that Diddy even went as far as threatening to take Shakir's life. Diddy and J-Lo would eventually end up splitting up after an incident in 1999 where both of them were involved in a club shooting. Kim and Shakir would eventually end up splitting up, and in 2003, despite everything that they had gone through, Diddy and Kim would reunite, and on December of 2006, they would welcome their twins, Delilah and Jessie. Now, many were questioning when it was that they were going to get married, but Diddy made it very clear in interviews that he was not ready for marriage. I know she deserves to get married, but I'm just not ready. It's not a reflection on how much I love Kim. It's that I'm just learning how to be a good boyfriend. When I'm finished with this step, I'll move on to the next. Now, Diddy would fall back into his old ways, except this time it was worse. He actually got another woman pregnant while Kim was pregnant with their twins. And Kim says that what really hurt her was that he wasn't honest and upfront with her, and she actually had to find out through one of her girlfriends. And get this, she actually did not tell him that she knew the whole time until he fessed up, and he didn't end up fessing up until after their twins were born. I honestly don't know how she did that, but she did do a little investigating during this time. She obviously found out who the woman was, and she found out that the baby was actually born 5 months before her twins were. He told me that he may have gotten himself into a situation and he may have fathered another child outside the relationship. And I said, really? Well, I already knew. I'm glad you decided to be a man. I was like, dude, this is so whack. I can't even respect you right now. And for me, once the respect is gone, I'm not even listening to you. Kim shared that her decision to leave Diddy was ultimately because the relationship just wasn't working for her anymore. She wasn't waking up happy, and that's the reason she just needed to leave. So in 2007, that was the last straw for her, and they would break up for good. They did maintain a good co-parenting relationship. She stated that he was a good father, a good provider. He was in their kids' life. Now, he wasn't a good boyfriend, but at least he was taking care of his kids. And despite them not being together, they still considered themselves best friends, and they would spend time together with their kids. They would spend holidays together, family events together, and they still remained very close. And a week before her passing, Kim shared an Instagram post for Diddy's 49th birthday. Happy birthday, Diddy. On this day, a genius was born. May you continue to be the driving force of energy that God created you to be. Thank you for giving me the best gifts of life, our children. And on November 15, 2018, Kim was found unresponsive on her bed. No foul play was suspected. A week before her passing, Kim was complaining about a sore throat and she had a fever of 102. So she went to the doctor and they tested her for the flu and strep, which both came back negative. So they sent her home with painkillers, vitamins, and antibiotics. And she sent her kids to Diddy's house to make sure they didn't catch anything. 3 days before she passed, she wasn't feeling well. She had the flu, and she sent the kids over to my house so they wouldn't get sick. One night I was checking on her and she was like, "Puffy, take care of my babies." She actually said that to me before she died. On November 14th, so a day before her passing, Kim reported that her fever had actually gone back down to a normal 96 degrees. And so she just spent the day in bed watching TV, watching movies, and relaxing. It wasn't until the following day, the 15th, around 8:30 in the morning, her goddaughter came into the room to check on her, and she found her in bed and assumed that she was still sleeping, so she decided not to bother her and let her rest. And it wouldn't be until 11:30 in the morning that Kim's roommates would come into her room and actually realize that she was unresponsive. And of course, they immediately called 911. And according to the emergency dispatch posted by TMC, the call actually came in as a cardiac arrest.
76, rescue 82, cardiac arrest. 76, you're going to get EMS 14.
An autopsy was performed the next day, and it came back as deferred and pending further investigation, which in some cases, I guess that would make sense. But if it was pneumonia, I don't know. I'm not a medical doctor or anything, but I just think it would be more obvious. I mean, what do I know? But I would just assume. And according to the coroners, Kim's body was traced for alcohol and other substances, which came back negative, and she was also tested for some viruses, including adeno and influenza A and B, which also came back negative. And it wouldn't be until a couple of months until the coroner finally would confirm her cause of death to be lobar pneumonia, and it was certified as natural. And of course, a lot of fans were speculating that all of this just didn't add up.
Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said that she died. It was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms.
And of course, there were some fans that were sympathetic of Diddy and his children that had just lost their mother. And he actually paid a tribute to Kim on his Instagram. For the last 3 days, I've been trying to wake up out of this nightmare, but I haven't. I don't know what I'm going to do without you, baby. I miss you so much. Today, I'm going to pay tribute to you. I'm going to try and find the words to explain our inexplainable relationship. We were more than best friends. We were more than soulmates. We were some other-ish. And I miss you so much. Super Black love. Eventually, some fans did begin to call him out and tell him that he took Kim for granted while she was still here, and he actually did admit that he should have married her while he had the chance. I was scared, I wasn't ready, and that's it. I'm ready now, but it's too late. Don't be like me. Now, for some, the way that Kim passed just has never made sense, and for a lot of people, things just don't add up. And of course, in the wake of everything that's been coming out about him and all the proof that's come out about the allegations he's being accused of, a lot more people are actually speculating and wondering if, in fact, she passed from pneumonia. And of course, after Cassie's lawsuit, a lot of witnesses have actually come out and exposed the DV that Kim also endured by Diddy.
How many times did you personally witness him be violent towards women?
Around 4 or 5 times.
And was that all with Cassie, or was it Cassie and other women?
I seen him with Cassie, and I seen him with Kim Porter, his kid's mother.
Right, who's now sadly no longer with us. But what did you see him do?
I've seen him get physical. I've seen him get really physical, grab him up, and it's okay. It's understood if you have a problem with one woman and you seek things, but when you have a problem with every woman that you're dealing with, then I think that problem is inside of you.
What did you see him do with Kim Porter?
I seen him inside the car, grab her up. I seen him smack her, you know. And one thing about Kim is Kim got to the point where she fought back because she realized how powerful she was. It was one incident on Sunset Boulevard in front of the Beverly Hills Hotel where I just seen the car rocking back and forth. You know, of course he put everybody out the car, but I seen the car shaking. So I opened the door. I said, what are you doing? You know, what are you doing? You see where we at and what are you doing? And Kim got out the car like nothing happened. And she fixed her hair and she told him, she said, I want to see you explain to the media that scratch I'm gonna put across your face if you put your hands on me again.
And of course, after seeing the video of what he could and would do to Cassie, come on, it's not impossible to believe he would do the same thing to Kim.
Well, some of the stuff I've been saying is coming true, but all of the stuff that I say is true, and that's facts. You know what I'm saying? Just with this Cassie thing, I didn't know her, but I knew somebody like her, and that was Kim Porter. I didn't know Cassie, but I knew somebody who was going through the same thing she was going through, and that was Kim Porter. So people ask me, yo, and they send me clips of Cassie, I guess it's an affidavit to the courts, you know, of what she experienced. And it's like, it was the same thing Kim was going through. The same thing, bro. Kim was going through the same thing, the beatings, you know what I'm saying? That's Kim's story. That's Kim's book. That's Kim's book. Then you hear about the fact that he broke Kim's nose on a yacht?
Wow, I ain't hear about that.
He broke Kim, let's say allegedly, but it was told by people in her camp that he broke Kim's nose on a yacht. So Cassie's story is Kim's story. Cassie's book is Kim's book. Bruh, when y'all look at this thing and saying force, y'all think that he probably threatened to beat her, threatened to do something like that. That ain't what force is. It could come from the mentality.
Now, Kim Porter was supposedly writing a tell-all book, and of course, this was not something that Diddy would want. Theories allege that Kim was in the process of writing a tell-all book that would reveal intimate details about her relationship with Diddy, including the DV, her allegedly having to cover Diddy's gay relationships, Diddy allegedly giving Usher an STD, an explosive encounter between Diddy and Usher's mom, and Mary J. Blige being pregnant by Diddy and having an abortion, to name a few. Now, all of this is alleged, but knowing what we know now, obviously a book exposing all of Diddy's secrets would be a big motive for him to get rid of her. When Kim passed away, her house was reportedly robbed of 2 laptops, which led people to believe that there was video footage or information that needed to be covered up. Now, if you remember, we mentioned that on her autopsy report, she was actually tested for many viruses, which they all came back negative, but BJ Investigates actually got a copy of her autopsy report, and she goes into great detail, and I will actually link the video down below if you want to watch it. She does a great job explaining it.
They took blood out of her body, ran tests, that's what it looks like to me, y'all tell me, and they found 4 different types of bacteria. One of these bacteria can come from animal bites. One of these bacteria is similar to the tetanus, right? One of these comes from feces. That's the Enterococcus faecalis. And one of them is closely related to salmonella, which you can contract from eating chicken, fish, whatever. So there's 4 types of bacteria found in this woman's bloodstream. It's on this thing called amended report. And the only thing I can think of is what was in those IV bags they gave her.
So not only was the report amended, but now she tested positive for 4 different types of bacteria in her blood. It just doesn't make sense to me. She had a small amount of blood coming out of her right nostril and white foam coming from her mouth, bruise on her upper left arm, multiple small red dots, and bruise on the right upper arm, and both of her legs had bruises on them and a puncture wound on her right hand. Now, none of these details came out to the media when her initial autopsy report came out. And of course, we know Diddy has enough power to control what information does and doesn't come out, obviously. Now, we all know, well, we really don't know what Corey Gamble does, but what we do know is he is linked to Justin Bieber and is said to work for Diddy. And guess what? He was there at the scene when Kim passed away.
How am I just now finding out that not only was Corey Gamble extremely close to Kim Porter and Diddy, he was there. He was there when the coroners arrived to Kim Porter's house after 911 was called. Am I crazy? That's Corey Gamble, 100%. Not in the blue, the one right behind him. Like, I don't even have a theory. I'm just confused. And we're going to talk about this in the deep dive, but Kim Porter, when she passed away, there was obviously discrepancies in police reports versus coroner reports. Another thing we know for a fact is P. Diddy had her entire home wired with audio listening devices and video cameras. Was her passing caught on camera? Does Diddy have footage of Kim Porter passing away? I have always wondered that. I also found Corey's old Twitter account, and it didn't give me a lot of really anything other than a few cringy photos. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C. I just don't get it. How has this man been everywhere, have connections with everyone, but he is really only known as Kris Jenner's boyfriend? Corey Gamble, I'm onto your trail. I'm onto your trail. I don't know where it's leading me. But we'll be back to talk about this more.
Yeah, so I don't know about y'all, but things just keep getting more and more suspicious. Then we have Kimora Lee Simmons. Kimora Lee was a longtime best friend of Kim's, and she actually rushed to Kim's house the day Kim passed away. And it is alleged that she knew Diddy had something to do with it, so she rushed to Kim's house before Diddy arrived to make sure he didn't delete any messages from Kim's phone. She shared on her Instagram, "This is unbelievable. When I first heard the news, I was angry that someone would play such a stupid ass joke. They said you were in your room sleeping. Aoki and I rushed to your house to tell you to get up and come your ass outside. But soon as I arrived, I realized you would not come." There are reports that speculate that Kimora was doubtful of her friend's cause of death and that she actually had knowledge about Kim's alleged tell-all book. And Kimora has also gone on to share cryptic posts on her Instagram. "As you sow, so shall you reap." Then 3 weeks after Kimora posted that cryptic quote, her house caught on fire. "My house caught fire. The kids and I are all fine. I cannot express enough my deepest gratitude to the numerous battalion ladders and units that attended to us for many hours today and quite possibly saved our lives. Thank you." And of course, conspiracies began surfacing that Kimora was the potential target for Diddy. And in the wake of Cassie's lawsuit, an old interview of Kimora's has resurfaced. In a 2004 New York Magazine interview, Kimora recalled an alleged incident with Diddy. The article states, "There was a nasty cloudburst when Kimora said something to Combs and he threatened to hit her. And I was pregnant," she said, "the moron." And after this outburst, Diddy reportedly got on his knees and apologized to her. And Gene Dio has actually gone on to speak about this incident, and according to him, it did actually happen.
That got on his knees one time. We was in the club, and I think Kimora ran out when he said some profanity to her. I think we was in Envy's. No, we was in Envy's? No, we wasn't in Envy's. Was it Envy's or Eugene? We was at one club, and he had said some fly shit. I said, "Yo, that's Russell Simmons' wife." But if her security ain't gonna do a thing, he just cursed her. But that's a whole nother story at a whole nother time, bro.
And of course, many people are reacting to this story, and they're just shocked that this happened while she was pregnant. And Kimora is obviously not the only person close to Kim that do not believe she passed away from pneumonia. I'll be sure Kim's ex-husband actually, because he did come out and confirm that they actually did end up getting married. He has never believed that Kim passed away from an illness. He believes it was a homicide, and he has been very vocal about this throughout the years. I just found this footage from the morning I learned of Lady KP's murder and how it ripped the soul from my physical body. I was on my way to film the pre-show packages for the BET Awards when I received a call from PR icon Queenie Donaldson asking me if I was okay and did I hear the news. I had no clue. I do know very clearly that Kimberly didn't just check out all of a sudden over pneumonia. That's some BS. Really? This is where I get in trouble. We just celebrated our son's Quincy's new deal and Christmas special with Netflix, and she was in fantastic health as well, laughing, seeing me and Diddy's mutual exchange at the theater. I'm going to leave it here. She sent me this saying, "Life imitating art, art imitates life." Now it all makes sense. She told me other stuff too. She was running. I said, "Call the FBI." Then after he posted these posts in 2022, he slips into a coma, and he was in a coma for 2 months. And his condition was so critical that his doctors considered putting him in hospice. And of course, a lot of people started speculating that what happened to LB was connected to him speaking out about Kim's mysterious death. And miraculously, he did make a full recovery, and he is still here advocating for Kim. And on September 6th of 2024, a now deemed fake Kim Porter tell-all book was published to Amazon by a mysterious author. The book was full of eye-popping excerpts that detailed disturbing allegations about Porter's relationship with Sean Diddy Combs, from DV to SA. After the book gained traction online, Porter's children Quincy Brown, Christian Combs, and twins Jesse and Delilah denounced the book in a joint statement. They asserted the book was fake and warned people about spreading the outrageous details in it. Porter's former husband and Brown's father, Al Bashir, also spoke out about the book and reportedly sent a cease and desist letter to the publisher. For over a decade and a half, I've been posting about and tagging random law enforcement agencies in hopes to protect loved ones, avoid deaths and tragedies that could have all been avoided. Despite this, I have been ignored, ridiculed, and medically silenced to cover up these crimes you're all now aware of by a very aggressive PR team and costly campaign to silence and physically harm me from exposing. It only aimed to prevent me from further sharing publicly the facts and insights Lady KP shared with me during our frequent and intimate conversations in her selfless attempts to save my life by sharing frequent plans to do harm and possibly by ending my life. I am writing this post to formally request an investigation into an entire group of individuals who worked at or around the residence of Miss Kimberly Porter, including the publicist who assisted drafting this. It has come to my attention that these persons were also instructed to steal her computer and mobile devices, which contained her original book notes. Original notes are distinct from the fabricated BS and offensive pages circulated via Amazon, which depict graphic acts involving me that never took place and were edited and added after Miss Porter's tragic murder. I urge you to consider who authorized such a fictitious publication without categorizing it as calculated fiction. The publicists and conspirators worked in concert from separate camps launching this campaign, which appeared to be a very personal and a deliberate distraction from the involvement in converting horrific crimes assisted in and perplexed the public for many years, which I have personally experienced and cautiously deemed such a medical crisis for legal reasons until the rest of these atrocities were uncovered by authorities, making it more believable to a gullible public that has been fooled for so long. Ms. Porter's missing devices, allegedly already in evidence, unquestionably contain the critical evidence that had been concealed. I'm convinced that evidence corroborates closely with details outlined in the recently released public indictment document. Additionally, it is pertinent to note that the individuals involved in this matter may also be connected to also concealing the alleged murders of several prominent artists, a situation that has left many bewildered. Yet those who are immersed in the culture and familiar with the intricacies of the entertainment industry may have a clearer understanding of the obvious. It is with a heavy heart that I reflect on the legacy of our beloved Lady KP. It is truly disheartening to think that those she considered close friends and who were financially compensated by her perpetrators may have conspired with the perpetrator to obscure the truth and tarnish her name, my name, and her unfinished book notes with these ridiculous and unfounded narratives. The absence of Miss Porter leaves a void, depriving her of the opportunity to address these inaccuracies personally and to share her own factual memoirs detailing the brutal terror and madness she endured. Check all who text messages of those who serve in a PR capacity, as they have brilliantly and underhandedly crafted this fictitious story to serve as a personal vendetta. There's more. There's so much to unpack. Unfortunately, I'm the only survivor by the blessing of a medical team that initially gave up because of multiple system organ failure, septic, intubated on a ventilator for 38 days, and forced to visit death's doorstep. But the God I serve and worship had another plan. Keep in mind that this is just the G-rated version of what I endured over a decade plus to silence the OG. I also kept forensic records of every individual who was sent my way to set me up, track me, gaslight me, and allegedly cause harm to my system. Unfortunately, Kimberlina was taken from us way too soon, and before she could complete her true thoughts before this fake unauthorized edit released on Amazon, which the disappearance of her computer and vital evidence raises significantly more questions. In a nutshell, Kimberly was allegedly taken from us because she was set on a course to accomplish what Mrs. Cassie Ventura did by ignited the bonfire, which brings us here today with the avalanche that has brought Satan to their chambers. Let us honor the memory of Lady KP, acknowledging the strength struggle she faced and the truth she sought to reveal in her own personal notes. Not this fake, unauthorized nonsense using my name to keep dragging me as social punishment for exposing this years ago. Kim and I talked right up to a few days prior to her demise. She was in good health, and we are in such a great friend space, reminiscing about old times and celebrating news of our son's accomplishments. No affair, just great friends. We must continue to advocate for justice and ensure that everyone of the individuals who conspired against her are held accountable and prosecuted to the highest extent of the law. Rest in power, Lady KP. Your true legacy will not be forgotten. Most importantly, please pray for the kids. There is no validation in my claims coming true. There has been way too much collateral damage and death everywhere. Still to this day, advocating and calling people out. It's just crazy. And ultimately, the book was pulled from Amazon on October 1st of 2024, so not that long ago. So basically what he's alleging is that Kim was on the road to do what Cassie did, so exposing Diddy. Now I don't know if it was by a lawsuit or maybe the book was in the works and somehow Diddy found out. It's just unfortunate that if that is the case, that literally caused her demise. Otherwise, she'd be here with her children. Now, let's talk about Ed Winter. And Ed Winter was the coroner responsible for determining what happened to Kim Porter. According to online hearsay, Ed Winter was actually asked to conduct a reevaluation on the cause of death of Kim Porter. However, he passed away on March 17th of 2023, reportedly of natural causes, before he could perform her second autopsy. Now, he was 73 years old, so technically it's not suspicious, but with Diddy being involved, it's suspicious.
Uptown Records started with 5 people. Andre Harrell, Albie Shore, Heavy D, and Puffy. And Kim was the longest working employee because she was there from the very beginning. She was Andre's personal assistant. Kim is dead. Heavy D is dead. Andre Harrell is dead. The only 2 left are Puffy and Al almost died. Isn't that interesting?
And to add to all of these strange, unexpected passings surrounding Diddy, remember Shakir Stewart, Kim Porter's ex-boyfriend, the one that Diddy broke a chair on, and the one he allegedly threatened to end his life? Yeah, well, in 2008, he also passed away. He was found in the bathroom of his home with a self-inflicted wound, and unfortunately, he was pronounced deceased at a nearby hospital.
Heavy D was found dead, face down in the heart attack. Andre Harrell, heart attack. Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said that she died. It was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms. And then right after that, Al had a meeting, and I was going to meet up with him because we were in Vegas, and then the next thing you know... You want to know what they all had in common, though? The survivors and the late of Uptown Records, they were all writing tell-all books. Andre was writing a book right before he died. Heavy D was working on a book before he died. Kim Porter was working on a book before she died. And Albie Shore was working on the documentary of his life. And then he goes into a coma.
And I mean, we obviously are just speculating. We don't know if Diddy had any involvement, but it's just so many coincidences and just so many of these like unexpected events happening and surrounding him that is just, now knowing what we know, it's just kind of like it makes you really believe that he is the common denominator and he most likely had something to do with it. And unfortunately, these aren't even the only incidents. There's been many, many more incidents that surround Diddy of people that pass away unexpectedly once they either cross him, or I guess it's just convenient for him to not have them around anymore. And of course, there can only be so many coincidences before you start pointing the finger at somebody. And I mean, it's not hard to do now with all the evidence that's come out and all the heinous acts that it's been proven that this man is capable of. Nonetheless, I don't want any troubles. All of this is still alleged and simply my opinion based on the information that is publicly out there. I honestly believe that Kim knew way too much. And at the end of the day, sadly, 4 children lost their mother entirely too soon. And I really, really hope that Kim gets justice one day. And not only Kim, but all the victims of this man. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think he was involved with Kim's passing? I mean, with everything we know now, I'm pretty sure a lot of you, if you didn't believe it then, maybe you believe it now. Obviously, he is capable of a lot of bad things. You would hope and think that he wouldn't do that to the mother of his children, but I mean, so make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section. And as always, remember to be kind. And that's all I have, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching and for your support. Don't forget, if you made it this far, please go give my video a thumbs up to help the algorithm. And of course, subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.